mediocrity, it ain't no friend to me. Wage a war, wage a war, wage a war. We wage a war against mediocrity, it ain't no friend to me. Wage a war, wage a war, wage a war. We wage a war against mediocrity, it ain't no friend to me.
We're waging war on mediocrity. It ain't no friend of me. I am your boy, the motivational teacher to the masses, bringing you again another edition of Motivational Monday, episode 103 of Awaken Your I Am. Tonight, we're talking about emotions, however you want to call it. We're going to have that conversation tonight. I know in some households, conversations about emotions are taboo. And I know for a long time, it was like that in my house. So tonight, you're going to sit in on a growth conversation about emotions. There's no way you could completely awaken your I am without dealing with your emotions. And tonight, we're going to tackle that subject. Hey, I'm starting to see eyes coming on here. If you would, holler at your boy and let me know who's out there tonight. Come on in the room, shout your boy out. YouTube, Facebook, Faniqua, happy to see you as well. Let's get to it. If you would, please share, like, host watch parties, however you all want to do. Let's get this word out as I share it out live, as I share it out to my social media platforms. What's up, Mike? Got my frat brother on here. What's up, dog? Thank you for hollering at your boy tonight. If you would, please share. The artist is in the building. If y'all would, please like, share, host watch parties, invite somebody else to join us tonight as I begin to share this out on my social media outlets tonight also. For all my replayers, if you would, give me about a minute as I share this out to all my social media outlets and as all the people that are coming in the room. I would also like to give you a minute to share this out as well. It would be much appreciated because tonight we're going to deal with some things that needs to be dealt with. We're going to talk about emotions. I mean, last week we kind of gave an intro into it. Tonight we're going to dive a little bit more in depth with it. We're talking about awakening your I am. You cannot awaken your I am without first understanding who you are. I know the book tells us that a man doesn't know his own heart. Then I would say, let's get to know who we are on this earth. The challenge for a lot of us that we've been living our lives in dogma. We've been living somebody else's reality for our currency, for our life. And I think tonight that must change. We've been living about what somebody said about us. And I think tonight that should change. That we've been tied up in all these old emotions that we cannot move beyond, average. We cannot move beyond this set of feelings that I have in order to go into the good life. Give me a few seconds. I'll share this out a couple more times to my groups. Hey, what's up out there, ATBA? We're streaming live on ATBA. Thank you for having us out there tonight, Carrie and her group. Thank y'all for having us. Let me share it to Bridging the Nations, BTN. What's up out there? If you all missed Bridging the Nations yesterday, y'all missed something really good. And I got one more place to share this, and then we're going to get going. I don't think I shared it to my personal page. Let me do that right quick. All right, let's get to it. If they're not here now, that's on them. Have nothing to do with us. Sorry about that. Have nothing to do with us. Let's get to it. For the ones of you all who are out here on time, I want to say thank you for your promptness and for your diligence. And I believe you're going to have a great reward. Let's get to it. Episode 103 of Awaken Your I Am. Tonight, we're talking about emotions. What's up, Coach T, man? Happy to see you can catch us on time tonight, bro. I know you've been hopping on in the middle, watching the replay. I'm happy to have you live tonight, man. Your comments elevate the conversation. And I think tonight is something I think definitely women, but I think definitely men can benefit from. Because so many of us have told that when we display emotions that we are being weak or we're being woman-like or that men shouldn't cry or men shouldn't have emotions. And then conversely, women have been told that they're too emotional, that they respond and react and make too many decisions from their emotions. And tonight, I want to tackle the question, Where does my emotions lie in the awakened I am? The great I am has awakened your I am. So where do my emotions lie in between there? I see the eyes adding up, man. If y'all, as y'all pop in here, say what's up to the motivational teacher, man. I'd like to greet you all as you come in the room live. So let's start this conversation by saying that emotions are not good and bad. Emotions are determined by how we use them. Remember this series we talked about from Joe Dispenza, the thoughts are the language of the brain and emotions are the language of the body. We talked about the last 2 weeks. If you haven't been on here, I suggest you go back and listen to it. We talked about that your body is your subconscious mind. Your body can only carry out what your mind is communicating to your body. It's your subconscious. This body is more than willing and able to do whatever the subconscious or the subconscious or the conscious minds carry out through this body. It's able and willing. And so tonight I want to dive a little bit deeper into the person that you are. I want to dive a little bit deeper into how you arrive to become the person that think and see the world as you see it. Yeah, I'm awakening your I am. There's no way you can awaken your I am without understanding you. And I'm on episode 103, man, and the content continues to expand. Man, I'm breaking bread already. The content continues to expand with the awakened I am. I've now come to the conclusion I understand why there's so many people that underperform their potential. I'm now starting to understand why there's so many people that are living lives that were never meant for them to be lived. I'm starting to understand why there are so many sleeping I am. It's work. I gotta break bread. It's work to awaken your I am. And that word awaken is a verb. That means that it's something required on your end in order to awaken your I am. Everything that you want out this life. And I do believe that the desires that God has given us and placed in our hearts are desires that he's given to us from the foundation of the earth. And I don't believe that those desires are from heaven to have a healthy marriage or to have money at the end of the month or to have a great business or to have great kids. I don't believe that stuff came from the pits of hell and you're being selfish. No, I believe the great I am has awakened your I am from the foundation of the earth to won't be and have those things that you so desire in your life. Come on, man. I'm gonna break bread tonight. But I understand why there's so many people that settle and say, okay, this is not my lot in life. I'm now starting to gain understanding as to why people walk away from their dreams and they walk away from their destiny. Hey, mom, and they walk away from the person that could be because they're too busy staring at the person that is. And in order for us to get beyond that person that is, we must got to understand how that person derived at its thinking and mode of belief. Remember, I'm telling you, the great I am is always working to reveal you to you. I just broke bread. He's always working to reveal you to you. And tonight, I'm going to talk about one other avenue that the great I am uses in order to introduce you to you. Remember, he knew you before the foundation of the earth. When you were a sperm somewhere in your father, and when the egg that you would soon become was somewhere, and you was a twinkling of an eye in your father, the great I am knew you and said, man, okay, here's the day my daughter comes to earth. Here's the day. Welcome to earth. This is your newborn day. Welcome to earth. And ever since that moment, you've been being conditioned. Bam. Doctor slapped you on the behind and you have been conditioned to see the world how you see it, to think how you think. And I'm challenging you to go beyond how you've seen it in the past. The great I am is always seeking to reveal your I am to you. Emotions. Let's get to it. Emotions are the link. You came equipped. Come on, Vaniqua. I got it all on the inside of me. I got it all on the inside of me. Emotions are the language of the body. Let me say this. Emotions aren't good. Emotions aren't bad. It's all how we internalize or use that as motivation for our own life. Emotions aren't good. Emotions aren't bad. It's how we use those emotions to be carried out in our life. Let's go a little deeper. Emotions are described as a psychological state that are generated subconsciously. Emotions are generated subconsciously. Usually, they are autonomous bodily responses to certain external or internal events. Usually, emotions, some people use feelings and emotions interchangeably. And I don't think we should be using them interchangeably because feelings is how I feel. Emotions is that eternalized feeling. It's how my body responds to that feeling I have. It's the decisions that I make because of the feeling that lends itself to the emotion. When you mix a thought and a feeling, it now becomes an emotion. Yeah. When I think one thing and I link it to something that happened in my past, it now becomes an emotion. And emotions drives how I feel. Emotions drive how I think. Emotions drive conscious thoughts. But the most powerful thing about emotions is that it drives subconscious thought. I remember I have a cousin. My cousin is so afraid of dogs. She can see a little poodle. Everybody want to pet the poodle. She only wants to run away from the poodle because she had a traumatic experience as a kid where a dog chased her and almost bit her. And from that traumatic experience from her childhood, she now does not like any dogs. All dogs are now represented by the one dog that chased her in her one childhood traumatic event. And now even 40 years later, that same event, that same emotion that she felt at that time triggers how she feel as a result to how she encounters a dog today. Motivational teacher, is that a feeling? No, that's an emotion. Anytime she sees a dog, that dog automatically transformed her back to when she was 6 and that dog was chasing her, and she can feel the pain, she can feel the fear, her heart rate intenses. Why? Because that emotion is driving that behavior. What's up, Resurrection Church? Thank you for joining us. That emotion, what's up, Tabo? That emotion is driving that behavior. And I'm challenging some of us to start to look internally at what drives our behavior. Feelings of subjective experience of emotions that are driven by the conscious thoughts. Hey, Tracy, thank you for joining us. And reflection. This means that we have emotions without having feelings. However, we simply cannot have feelings without having emotions. You were created an emotional being. I want us to get to the point where we don't run and where we don't hide from our emotions. We've been told for so long, and I'm guilty of this. I'm telling you right now, and I'm going to get into this later. I was a person that just learned to suppress my emotions. I learned how not to cry when things hurt. I learned how not to cry when my dad said he was coming and he didn't come. I learned how not to cry when I didn't have the money I needed for the new shoes. I learned how not to be disappointed when my dad did not show up. I learned how to suppress my emotion. As a young kid, and even now, even as a husband, it still worked for me to even be able to express emotion because I've learned how to suppress it for so long. And all of that, I'm telling you, the same person that now who's learning how to express himself emotionally, I shut that down back before I was a teenager. When I was 9, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, Vanico just said it. Or you don't want judgment. You don't want people going to judge you based on the story or based on where you were at that moment. We learn how to suppress them and pretend like they don't exist until they do. I love it, Angelique. We have to relearn now to release. And that's the awaken I am. The awaken I am has the ability to learn, relearn, adjust, and do what is needed in order to move into, we're going to get to that in a minute, in order to get into that awaken I am. Listen, man, I cannot have, this is a bread-breaking moment. God cannot fully use me or put me into just like Moses, who had problems with anger could not go into the promised land. Just like for some of us, if we don't learn how to manage our emotions, we'll never be able to eat the good of the land. I don't care how many of these motivational Mondays, come on, thank you, Beverly. I don't care how many of these motivational Mondays you listen to. I don't care how many churches you go to on Sunday. I don't care how many podcasts you produce. Until we learn how to effectively manage our emotions, we can never eat the good of the land. I'm breaking bread right now. There are 5 main purposes for emotions in our life. Come on now, holler at your boy. Emotions help us to take action, to survive, to avoid danger, to make decisions, and to understand others. Come on, man. I'm going to break this bread today. Emotions exist in our lives for 5 main reasons. I'm going to hit them look, I'm going to say this like I'm from Locha Poker, one more again. I'm going to hit them one more again. Number 1 is we need emotions to take action. We need emotions to survive. We need emotions to avoid danger. We need emotions to make decisions, and we need emotions to understand others. So to say that I am an emotionless person, that's what I used to say for a long time, that I am emotionless. I made that confession over my own life, not really understanding what it was doing in me while I was making that confession. Because of the hurt and disappointment that I had in my life previously, I came to the point that in order for me to deal with my emotions, I'd rather not have any at all. And the great I am cannot fully use me, cannot fully mature me if I don't learn how to manage those emotions. We need somebody get in the chat box. We need our emotions. We need our emotions. Stop lying to yourself that I can do it without my emotions. Stop lying to yourself that my emotions or my intuition alert me to the truth. Stop lying to yourself. We need our emotions. For every brother out there who quiet right now, let me let you in on a secret. You need your emotions. If you're going to be a whole, oh my God, I'm about to break bread. If you're going to be a whole father to your kids, you need to be in tune with your emotions. If you're going to be a whole husband to your wife, you need to be in tune with your emotions. If you're going to be a leader in any capacity in your community, you need to be in tune with your emotions. So stop away with the theory that we don't need our emotions and we deal like men. Ha 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 ha. We deal like men on the outside. Man, I'm a player / coach. I promise y'all, this is not something that I got all together. I'm working intensely to become a person who's in tune with their own emotions. A lot of the hurt, pain, and a lot of the bad decisions that I made in the past were based on me not wanting the motivational teacher. Come on. Were based on me not wanting to reveal or not wanting to put myself out there to be hurt and to have my spirit cry. So a lot of the things in my past, I've lived a narrow life because I didn't want to be crushed. I don't want to be hurt. I didn't want the trauma that I felt early on in my childhood. And the way I learned to deal with it was just to suppress it. Let me start right here with saying with you, everything that you feel is valid. All right, let's start right there on the premise of that statement. Every emotion that you feel in your life up until this moment is valid. I know. Yep, I feel hurt sometimes because my husband or my wife walked out on me. I know right now the expectation my parents had on me sometime, it kind of made me, it dampened my spirit. All of those emotions are true. Emotions are a conscious and mental reaction. Come on, Facebook users. I wish I knew who you were. I would call you out because that's real right there. Emotions are a conscious mental reaction. So emotions are, let's say it this way, Facebook user. So emotions are your body is your unconscious mind. Emotions are the unconscious response to your feelings. So emotions are valid. Stop right there. Emotions are valid. We got to start right there. I know it hurt you when they walked out. I know it hurt you when you lost your job. I know it hurt you when that person died. I know it hurt you when you didn't, and when you keep starting over and it seems like it doesn't work. I know it hurt. I know it hurt. I know it. Let's start by acknowledging that what I feel is legit. Oh man, some of y'all ought to be free right now. Some of y'all should be free because they told us on the front pew that we had to be perfect in order to sit in the church. They told us that, our parents hid a lot of the dirt that they did in their life to appear perfect before us. Our siblings, a lot of people are, especially in the days of Instagram and Facebook, that these people are posting perfect lives. And I start to feel like I haven't accomplished much with my own life based on somebody else's story. I got to tell you that I was told I was too young to remember. Yeah, all of those. It's legit. Come on, Tracy, chime in this conversation. We need to tell our kids that their emotions are valid and to stop making them feel like they need to suppress them. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm guilty of that with my own two sons. I'm definitely guilty of that with my wife. I am definitely guilty of that with my wife, and I'm definitely guilty of that comment right there, Tracy, that you just, but I'm open to say that I'm working on me. I'm open to say that I've gotten this wrong in my life more than I've gotten it right. But that's okay, because now that I have an opportunity to work on it, my I am is being more awakened than it was before. Y'all chime in this conversation. That's good things. Everything you feel is valid. People who struggle with depression, anxiety, eating disorders, and addiction tend to feel things very deeply, which isn't an issue in itself. It's okay that you internalize what happens to you, because it's okay. People look at it, oh, that's so negative. How you feel that way? Basically, somebody went through something. I'm guilty too. Somebody went through something worse than that. You shouldn't feel the way you feel. I'm telling you, nobody should be able to tell you how you should feel. How you feel is how you feel, but how we manage it is what has to be different. We don't have the right, like Vaniqua said earlier, to judge somebody based on their emotions. We don't have the right to say that what you feel is wrong or right, because even if I know your story, I can't judge we cannot judge how they internalize their story. All we can say is how I would internalize it, but how I internalize it doesn't mean that's how they internalize it. That's why each individual is responsible for awakening your I am. Well, holler at your boy. Like, God has only made you responsible for awakening your I am. He didn't make Anthony responsible for awakening Angelique's I am. He made Angelique is the only person on earth that's responsible for awakening her I am. Coach T is the only person responsible. His mama, his grandmama, his great-grandmama, his dad, and uncle, them, they're not responsible for either putting your I am to sleep or awakening your I am. You are the only person that is in control of your I am. I'm breaking bread right now. I love the fact that God doesn't judge my I am based on my dad's past sins. I love the fact that God doesn't judge my I am based on my past mistakes. I love the fact that God doesn't judge my I am based on what I said years ago. I love the fact that he's given me autonomy over my own I am. That's a bread-breaking moment in ourselves. We don't have the right to be able to tell somebody how they should feel about their own emotions. Come on, Beverly. It's their lot in life. It's their personal walk with themselves and with their great I am. I can't tell you how to feel about your situation. And I say a lot of times, can I break bread? A lot of times, pastoral counselors pastors are notorious for telling you how you should think, how you should believe, no matter that situation, giving you advice based on what they would have done, not knowing how you internalize the information. That's why I say, man, there's nothing wrong if you need to go sit on somebody's sofa with a PhD, or there's nothing wrong if you need to go sit on a pastoral sofa as well. I say go sit on both. There's nothing wrong with talking it out. I just broke bread. And truth be told, there's some trauma that all of us have been through in our lives that it would benefit us to be able to talk it out with somebody that can give us some godly advice, or there's somebody who can give us mechanism to cope with the emotions that we subconsciously feel. And I'm going to give you some tonight. I'm not a PhD and I'm not a pastoral counselor, but I am the bread breaker, and I'm living. And that's the thing about having a player/coach. Like, I'm not giving you something that I've done. I'm giving you something I'm doing. I'm giving you something I'm doing. I don't have all the right answers, man. I am growing as I'm teaching. The majority of this awakening your I am is coming to you because God is awakening my I am simultaneously as I'm giving this information. That's why I have to go back and listen to this 3 and 4 times myself. Why? Because my I am is being awakened as well as yours. And the reason why I know this information is powerful because I see myself changing. And not only do I see myself changing, but I see my relationship with my wife changing more positively. I see my relationship with my children changing more positively based on me awakening my I am. Matter of fact, I just received an accommodation at work where, man, like oh my God, it's blowing my mind that as that one rising tide, if you decide to work on you, it lifts everything around you. The moment you start realizing who you are, number one, realize who you are. Most of us don't realize that. And realize whose you are. You realize that there are no way that you can be stopped in this whole entire earth. But you gotta work on. You have to be your biggest project. You have to be your biggest project because everything you lift. Everything around you. You want better relationships? Grow you. You want more money in your life? Grow you. You want better job in your life? Grow you. You want your business to expand? Grow you. And those things will be added. Tracy chiming into this conversation. That is the best way to teach from current life experiences as you are changing and growing. Now, you're right. You're right. That's the only way to teach it and grow it. That's why I allow my life to be a living letter. I messed up, man. I ain't got it all together. I just told you, like, even at this moment, I'm still learning how to process my wife's emotion. We've been married 12, 13 years, and I'm still learning how to open up my emotion box. Even with my 12-year-old, I'm still learning how to ask him how he feels and just open up. Come on, Big Hump. Open up because my emotion box. And I'm challenging some of y'all to do the same thing. Man, I'm so far off on one. Well, how many minutes I'm in? I'm 28 minutes in. Let's get to it. Come on, man, this is one if you got notes, you better write this down. When we invalidate or judge our own emotions, we strip them of our ability to teach us. That emotion that you have in your life is true because there is some feeling and there is some thought that's triggering that emotion. If I tend to dismiss the emotion, I'm dismissing the thought, and I'm dismissing the feeling that's attached with that thought that lends itself to that emotion. I was telling you about my cousin earlier who was running from the dog as a youth, and now even in mid-40s, still willing to run from a dog that she doesn't have any history on. Conversely, that could be somebody who had a positive experience with that dog, and when they see dogs, it releases happy hormones, endorphins, and dopamine, and I love that dog, and they see the same dog and they want to go rub it and pet it. What's the motivating factor behind how they approach that dog? It's their emotions. It's their thoughts and their feelings that triggers a response from their subconscious mind, which is their body. It triggers that response. And when you ignore that emotion, you strip them of that ability to be able to teach you. A man doesn't know his own heart. If a man gets to know his own emotions, it reveals to that man, woman, Homo sapien, that male or female, their thoughts and their feelings. In order to have an awakened I am, you have to have an awakened you. You have to know how you process information and how it's revealed in your body. Uncomfortable emotions like sadness, hurt, grief, and anger are all smoke signals from the body and the brain. If you see a guy, or if you're dating a guy or you're dating a woman and you see something that reminds you of somebody that you've dated in the past, we always say that that's a signal. Or he reminds me, or she reminds me of that person. And automatically we begin to put them in the same box as that his or her that they remind us of. We can do that when it comes to a human, but we never dissect that same emotion when it comes to hurt. We never dissect self-awareness. We never, come on, that's a good one, Angelique. We never dissect the emotion when it comes to lack. We never dissect the emotion when it comes to unbelief. We never dissect that information when it comes to doubt. But we can easily dissect that information when it's related to another human, because now that emotion becomes less about me and more about the two humans, the one current and the one previous. So it's easy to put that emotion on them. But the enemies, our true enemies are enemy. And we don't take the time and we neglect to dissect those emotions. Those are the ones that create the awakened I am. If there's hurt in your life right now, and you know that the emotion of hurt, and you know there are moments when you can be walking and boom, you automatically feel bad, then there's a thought and there's a feeling that's triggering that emotion. And if we don't learn how to deal with that thought and that feeling that's triggering that emotion, then we allow ourselves to go around the same merry-go-round, hoping for different results while there are no new actions. And so our manifestation cannot change because we're in the cycle of thought, feeling, emotions, triggered response. We're in that cycle. And until we exit that cycle, our I am can be awakening and our lot in life will improve, but we'll never have the complete good of the land until we learn how to deal with those emotions. When you have hurt, grief, anger, and those smoke signals, they are signs that something in your life is out of alignment. I'm breaking bread right now. This is not one that's going to have you running around the room, but this is going to have one of you saying, wow, I'm learning me tonight. In order to awaken your I am, you must know you. All of those emotions are smoke signals that are around you. Something is out of alignment. It doesn't mean that there are a weakness on the inside of you. It doesn't mean that you're a soft man because you cry sometimes about what's going on in your life. It doesn't mean that I need to get over my emotion. It means that I need to confront the thought, the feeling that's triggering that emotion. I got some men chiming into this conversation, Coach T. Some men feel like their emotions need to stay hidden and not expressed. They think it is a sign of weakness. Bro, you looking at one that thought that for 40 years. I thought that for 40 years that I cannot appear weak. All people looking for cracks in your armor for them to take advantage of you all the time while I'm suppressing those emotions. The great I am is saying, if you want a great marriage, you must learn how to deal in those emotions. I remember Lionel Richie saying when he was growing up, Lionel Richie was so in tune with these emotions that he grew up in Tuskegee, Alabama, that they were calling Lionel Richie, They were saying that he was a homosexual, he was gay, that because he was different than the other males. He didn't care about going to play football. He didn't care about going to play basketball. Lionel Richie only wanted to write music. He only wanted to write music. And he wrote some of the best love songs of all time that appear on every ballad because he was so in tune with his emotions. So in tune with his emotions. And now what the community does is wants to, in order for you to be a great football player, you can't take any enemies. In order for you to be a killer on the court, you cannot be in touch with your emotions. I'm challenging every male out there, man, to challenge those myths and those beliefs in your life. I grew up, I had uncles to say that all the time. H-Town, emotions make me cry sometimes. You breaking all that bread tonight. Thank you, Angelique. I'm coming, man, because in order for us to awaken our I am, we must got to first understand who we are. Our emotions are valuable. Let me see. There's signs that something are out of alignment in or around you that just don't appear out of nowhere and definitely just don't happen because of so many weaknesses. And what they've told us is, so we've learned how not to cope or how not to deal with those emotions. And it's a cycle that will continue for generations until there's some brave individual in your lineage that's willing to tackle this. I'm telling you right now, I see more in my youngest son. He has more, I mean, he has a big personality. He loves people. He can have a conversation with the wall if the wall will talk to him. But I see more of my emotionless self in my older son, who he just stoic. He likes people, but I don't have to deal with people. I don't have to be around people. I can just do my thing and be happy with it, because that's his way of processing his emotions. And I'm watching my two sons, and as I'm learning me, I'm learning them so we can learn how to help them deal and cope with their emotions and not suppress them and move on to what's next in our lives. And I think that some of us have learned to move on. That's why there's so much mental illness right now. There's so much addiction. There's so many physical abuse. There's so many problems right now because so many people are disconnected from their emotions. They don't know why that. Why would you go into school and shoot up Sandy Hook and shoot up all these kids? Because they're not in touch with their emotions. Why is it? Why black boys can shoot other black boys that look like them? Because they're not in tune with their emotions. How is it that I can stand on the corner and sell somebody crack that I know ultimately where it's going to land them, and I do it over and over again because I'm not in tune with my emotions? How is it that my wife can cry in front of me, my wife can go through a rough day, and I have no confident words, I have no hug to give? Why? Because I'm not in tune with my emotions. How is it that my son can have a terrible day or whatever, and I come in the house and act like there's nothing different, that nothing happened? Why? Because I'm not in tune with my own emotions. And everybody else have to learn how to tiptoe around my lack of emotions. It's like that. And I would say conversely for ladies, that sometimes we can be too emotional, and that people learn how to tiptoe around the outward expression of our emotions. A lot of times, I gotta break bread. A lot of times, the reason why we're overly emotional about a situation, because that thought and that feeling burns deeper on the inside of us. Have you ever seen a person that maybe was child abused as a kid? That you can raise your hand and that kid will react as if you beat them with a stick multiple times. Why? It's the trauma of what they went through from a youth that is now being transferred as an adult outwardly. Same thing about if you find a woman that has been cheated on by a previous boyfriend, husband, or whatever, they're more sensitive to triggers that may or may not be outward signs of cheating, but they're reacting from a previous relationship, and the current person has to live that previous relationship all over again with the individual in the house. I'm breaking bread right now, that they're dating or that they're married to. Why? Because all those emotional triggers that I never dealt with and I never got over, bring them into the same house. And now you fuss and fight over what somebody did to you 5 and 10 years ago. You fuss and fight today with a good man or a good woman about what somebody did to you 5 and 6 years ago. Why? Because you have not dealt with those triggers. And those triggers drive our lives. I'm breaking bread. Come on, because that's knowledge. And we are making decisions based on those emotional triggers. I can't never seem to keep a good man. Why? Because you're living out of what happened to you 10 years ago. And no sane person is going to deal with a person that I'm not Jesus. I'm not atoning for anybody else's mistakes, or nor should anybody have to atone for somebody else's mistakes. I'm breaking bread right now. And so if we don't learn how to deal justly with those emotions, we will see them for generations to come. Pat, chiming into this conversation. I raised my son the same way, and I had to apologize. I had to tell him I was wrong. I would say, don't cry, suck it up. It's okay to cry. It's okay to hurt. Women have a big tendency to make their sons their big man. Pat, you just broke bread. Pat, that's a whole nother motivational Monday. And I totally get it. I totally get it, man. When you're coming up in an environment, you have to be raised, hard. In order to survive that environment. I see like Master P coming out the Calio projects. And he had to, in order to make it out the Calio projects, he learned, go watch the Chronicles of No Limit. He learned how to, he saw murders by the time he was 6. He learned how to suppress his emotions at a young age. And he did it purposely to keep from committing suicide. Again, our emotions are meant to protect us. I said it earlier, they're meant to help us survive. And so in order, he used his emotions of what he saw to help him survive out of that. That's what I'm trying to tell you, man. Like, you did what you had to do to make it. You're in a better place. Let's learn how to take these triggers, and now let's deal with them so we can deal positively with those emotional trauma or those triggers. Everyone feels emotions. What creates true emotional endurance is what we do and what we think when they come to us. I'm going to say that again. What creates emotional endurance is what we do and what we think when those emotions comes to us. I need somebody to get in that chat box and write emotional endurance. Some of us needs emotional endurance. We need to reflect on why I feel that way and what happened. I'll give you a few questions I do. I'll give you a few things I do. When I have an emotion that I don't think truly belongs to me, I ask myself what happened. That question makes me aware of the triggers that might have set me off. Why do I feel this way? What am I, and I'm telling you, sometimes that's why meditation is so important. Sometimes you just gotta, you gotta think on yourself. You gotta go into your own mind. See, a lot of us ask too many questions of other people before we ask the questions of ourselves. That the great I am is awakening my I am. God, why do I feel this way? What is it that triggered this response? Because I can still tell you, I love dealing with me, and I don't mind talking about me. I know that there's still a hint of that spirit of poverty on the inside of me, because when I start getting calls about I got to send money here, send money there, send money there, you got to pay this, and all part of doing business, there's something on the inside of me that say, Aunt, go to lockdown. Now I can't go and do a lot of the things that we were doing before. Now it says go to lockdown. And when I start feeling that response, that trigger response on the inside of me to go to lockdown, I automatically know that the thought is poverty and the feeling is being broke. That triggers the emotion of going to lockdown. Lockdown is the action from my subconscious mind, which is my body, but it's triggered by the thought of poverty and the feeling of lack. And then lockdown is the trigger response. I go to start and say, okay, what in this business can I cut today? And the activities are necessary in order to grow business. But because I'm sending out dollars and cents everywhere, a lot of dollars and cents, it automatically makes me, I don't ever want to be broke again. And God does not want me living from the triggered response that brokenness, somehow I believe that brokenness belongs to me. Come on, mama. I know right now I'm breaking bread, Pat. God does not want me living from the triggered response that my source is what's in my bank account. God does not want me living from the triggered response is that the money that I have is my savior. You got to watch that chain of reaction. And so many of us are not in tune with our body. And we just think that emotion, just me being emotional. I don't know why I'm so emotional today. I'm just emotional. I woke up crying this morning. I don't know why I was crying. Your body, your unconscious mind is telling you that you need to, your subconscious mind is telling you that you need to deal with your conscious mind. What happens? When I ask what happens, it always helps me to deal subjective about the situation, and I don't immediately go to judgment and judging myself based on how I feel. And most of us would go to a place where I just gotta have more faith. It ain't the fact that you gotta have more faith. It's the fact that you have to start dealing with what grew up on the inside of you. I grew up in poverty, but it doesn't mean that poverty has to grow up on the inside of me. It doesn't mean that poverty is my ultimate reward, but somehow, over the course of my life, I've gained the traction, or I've gained the thought that poverty was mine, and now it's taken every day to uproot that thought, that feeling, that emotion in order to attract prosperity and wealth. I'm breaking bread right now. I know this is not one going to make you run out the room, but this is one should make you run to the mirror and it's really say, who am I? Who am I? I ask myself, what happened? And after I ask myself what happened, I ask myself number two, what are the thoughts and belief that align with my truth? Oh my God, that's strong. What are the thoughts and beliefs that align with my truth? If that thought and that feeling does not align with my truth, then I immediately must have to acknowledge that idea, that thought no longer serves me positively, and I have to cast every thought that is contrary to what I know to be true. I have to cast it out and bring it into captivity, under subjection to what I know to be true. Finding yourself is the best thing you can ever do on this earth is find and discover you. Because once you discover you, you don't need a bunch of people to validate you. The moment you discover you, you don't need no amen corner for you to make decisions. The moment you discover you, you don't need Instagram and Facebook and all these other social media outlets to validate who you are. What thoughts and beliefs align with my truth? I don't listen, man. There's gonna be a time there's gonna be 1,300 eyes on here, but I don't need 13. I'm good with 13 eyes validate. I don't need them to validate who I am in this earth. See, some of you all, because of your own thoughts and belief in your truth, you won't believe you're rich until you have hundreds of thousands of dollars in the bank. You won't believe you're rich, but hundreds of thousands of dollars in the bank happen to people that believe they're rich before they get the hundreds and thousands of dollars. What are your thoughts and beliefs that align with your truth? What are your thoughts and beliefs that align with your truth? See, some of us make these empty confessions and our heart are far from them, and our emotional trigger and our responses reveal who we truly are in moments of stress. It shows what we truly believe when you got conflicting, you got two bills due at the same time, and you got no money in the bank. It tells you what you believe about your ability to be able to produce money. It tells you when you see conflicting stories in your life, when you know that your body's whole, your body's healed, and you go and the doctor say, type 2 diabetes, oh, cancer. And now you come to a dilemma, and you got to go to what are the thoughts and beliefs that align with my truth. Because at that moment, your subconscious mind, which is your body, is going to be ingesting and taking everything in from the environment. And it's going to do all it can to tell you, oh, cancer going to kill you. Oh, you're going to have a leg taken off because of sugar diabetes. Everything in your external environment is going to try to tell you to react on that emotional trigger. And I'm telling you to go back and align yourself with your truth. Boy, that's a bread-breaking moment right there. Oh man, that's why my favorite book said, let the poor say I'm rich. Let the weak say I'm strong. Why? Because that aligns with my truth. Oh my God. Is God telling us to lie in the Bible? No, by no means is he telling you to lie. He's telling you to find harmony with your own beliefs. Boy, I'm breaking bread right now. How does the great I am awaken my I am when I find harmony with his truth? My truth is his truth. I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man coming unto the Father but by me. How do I find harmony? I have to align with the great I am's truth to awaken my I am. My truth alone in myself is all the triggers and all the environment. As a man thinketh in his heart, so yes he is. My truth is what I learned from my environment. Let's break bread, man. I'm getting so far ahead of myself. My truth is what I learned from my environment. My truth is what I saw go on in Waverly, Alabama. My truth is what I went through being broke. My truth is how I struggled to get through college. My truth is how I had 5 or 6 different careers, didn't have a made up mind in a matter of 7 years. That's the truth that I grew up on. I cannot allow myself to make decisions from that truth. I'm the person who had a house, an apartment, and then living in a room the size of a closet, all within the same 12 months. And to break bread, neither one of them were my truth. Neither one of them were my truth. They were all signals sent to reveal to me what I believe. If you were, I'm 53 minutes in, I got somewhere I got to go. I got 7 more minutes. If you were to ask my wife, why in the world? I ask her all the time, master's degree, man, 2 vehicles, on the news, all the doing good stuff. Why? What did you see in me when I had nothing? She said, you didn't talk like where you were. Because I align myself with the truth. I align myself with what I believed about the great I am doing with me. I was put in this earth to dominate and reign. Believe you me, I was meant. I'm the two of a different kind of spirit. I'm going into the promised land. I wonder how many of y'all gonna be walking with your boy, helping me carry them grapes. That's the size of grapefruit. They so heavy, they like gold coins. How many of y'all gonna align? Come on, man. Got to know how to align my thought, my truth with the great I am truth. Come on, Mom. Number 3. What story am I telling myself about what it means to feel this way. To me, this is one of the most difficult questions to ask yourself. And it's very difficult to be objective about the answer without going back in my past. Very difficult to be objective about this answer. Many of us have developed connections between our self-worth and things that have nothing to do with our self-worth. We've connected our self-worth to experiences that happened in our past. We connected our self-worth to how people treated us in the past. Some of us have even developed our self-worth by how our appearance is on the outside. And all of those things have no connection to do with your self-worth. Our self-worth now becomes a triggered response from our subconscious mind, which is our body, which is no thought about who you truly are. You are allowing what men say you are to determine what you are. I love the fact that Jesus asked the disciples, who do men say I am? Who do men say I am? Not that he needed validation for who he was. Some say you're John. Some say you're Moses. Some say you're Elias. Who do you say I am? Who do you say you are? Who are you? It's time for you to start looking in the mirror and telling yourself that I am worthy. I am worthy. I'm worth the fight. We talked about it yesterday on Bridging the Nation. It's worth the fight. I am worth the fight. Some of us have to even change how we came about our own self-worth. And it requires that we be honest to ourselves. And I think that's the hardest thing for a man to do, because a man truly doesn't know his own heart. It's for a man or a woman to be honest with themselves about him or herself. It's easy to be honest about my brother or my sister, or it's easy to be honest about a friend or a coworker or a family member, but it's very difficult for us to be honest about ourselves. And that's why so many of us will die average, because we're not willing to have that conversation to me about me. Oh my God, that's a bread-breaking moment. I want to say that again. It's so hard for us to have the conversation about me with me. I'm more willing to go have that conversation with a friend, a coworker, a pastor, some trusted advisor in our life, but I'm never willing to sit in front of the mirror and have that conversation with me. And the challenge with not being able to have that conversation, I am my own problem, but I am my greatest solution all at the same time. That's a bread-breaking moment. That's a bread-breaking moment right there. You're worthy of the fight. You're more than a conqueror. Your destiny is worth the fight. And y'all know I like to tie the great I am in this, because it's the great I am who awakens my I am. What's the great I am say about this? In Peter chapter 5, he said, humble yourselves therefore under the mighty hand of God, so that in the proper time he may exalt you, casting all your anxieties on him, because he cares for you. You were never meant to go through life with the burden of child abuse. You were never meant to carry the burden of rape. You were never meant to carry the burden of childhood abandonment. You were never meant to carry the hurt of depression. You were never meant to carry the hurt of childhood traumas or even adult traumas. You were never meant to carry the weight. You're supposed to cast your anxieties on the great I am, because he cares for you. Your environment was never meant to distort the picture of who you are, but it was always meant to show you the value and the strength that you possess. Oh my God, you're strong. You're mighty. And I love, as you keep going now on 1 Peter, it says, Be sober-minded. Be watchful. Your adversary prowls around like a roaring lion, seeking whom to devour. Resist him firm in your faith. Resist him firm in your faith, knowing that the same kinds of suffering are being experienced by your brotherhood throughout the world. And after you suffer a little while, the God of all grace will call you to eternal glory, will himself restore, confirm, strengthen, and establish you. Yeah, I almost call this conversation, it's establishment time. It's established. It's time for you to be established. The great I am wants to establish your I am. There's value in your life. The great I am wants to establish your I am. There's value in the stories that you've been through. The great I am wants to establish your I am. There's value in what you went through, and the best is yet to come. I'll restore, confirm, strengthen, and establish. Somebody holler at your boy. That should be your confession for the rest of this year. My I am is about to be awakened. How can you be so sure? Because God himself wants to restore, confirm, strengthen, and establish me. That matter what you've been through. I gave you three ways to cope, or not even to cope, to be able to ask yourself, why am I feeling the way I'm feeling? Today is a new day for us to change our lives. Repeat it again. I got you, Pat. The great I am wants to awaken my I am. How is he going to do it? He's going to restore, confirm, strengthen, and establish my I am. He's going to establish it after you suffer for a little while. Man, it was cast your cares upon him. His burden is easy and his yoke is light, man. Stop living with the pain of what you went through. Stop living with depression. Stop living with anxiety. Stop. These are not yours. Well, I got to take my anxiety pills. You ain't got no anxiety. You ain't my anxiety. You ain't claiming anxiety. Anxiety is not yours. You have to be sober-minded and watchful. Your adversary, the devil, is prowling like a roaring lion. Anxiety was never yours. That came from your adversary. Depression was never yours. It came from your adversary. What you went through was only meant to show you how strong you were, and any other viewpoint came from your adversary. We got to change the story that we're telling ourselves. It's establishment time. It's establishment time. It's time for your I am to be established today and forevermore. Anxiety was never yours. Stop saying my diabetes. I got to take my diabetes pill. Diabetes was never yours. Well, you know what? I'm broker than a joke. Stop making that confession. Well, you know how I live my life. I got to rob Peter to pay Paul. Poverty was never yours. Poverty was never yours. What truth do you believe about you? What truth do you believe? Lack was never yours. What truth do you believe about you? It's time for your I am to be established. Pat said, trust issues, 3 marriages, cases of triggers. It was me. Come on, man. And if we don't learn how to fix that, it'll be 4 marriages. I'm telling you, like I know, if we don't learn how to deal with those triggers in our life, we'll always end up in the same place, not knowing how we got there, because it's this cycle of thoughts, feelings, emotion, triggered response. And I'm going to deal a lot more with triggered responses on the next Motivational Monday. I dealt with thoughts. Last week, I have thought power. I dealt with emotions today. I dealt with emotions. And man, I'm telling you, we walking you through how to awaken your I am. Man, it's crazy. I'm 100 episodes in, and I keep getting new information. I have no idea how it's happening, but every time I finish one and I want to move to something different, I get 4 or 5 more awaken your I am subjects and conversations that just keep driving it. I don't know how many my I am is going to be awakened to? I'm telling you right now that your life can be drastically different. But we got to start dealing, and we got to start having conversations internally about why I feel the way I feel and where is that emotion lead me. And I got to test it with my truth. I just broke bread. Ladies and gentlemen, I know this is not a motivational Monday that gonna have you running through your house, jumping up, talking about your prosperity. I know this is not a confront self. Come on, mom. I know this is not a motivational Monday that I feel rah-rah-ish. But this is a motivational Monday that if you take this motivational Monday, listen to it 10, 15 times, take notes, go back and listen to it. This is how you wage war on mediocrity. Mediocrity, just like the war on terror. Like, how do you, there's not a physical enemy. The war on terror was a different fight for the United States. They never fought an ideal. They always had a country, or they always had somebody at the end of their fight. Waging war on mediocrity is not like waging war on a physical fight. Mediocrity is a mindset. Mediocrity is an idea. How do you wage war on an idea? You have to wage war on an idea with an idea. What does that require? Different thoughts. We're waging war on mediocrity. Thank you, Mom. I saw that. We're waging war on mediocrity. What are you saying, motivational teacher? It's an idea. You don't just end up in part. Listen, man, there's nothing that happens to you just haphazardly. You don't end up in poverty just because that's what life dealt you. You end up in poverty because your mindset never changes. You end up in the same situation over and over again because I'm not in tune with my own emotion. Does a man know his own heart? The Bible says a man doesn't. But the great I am is always seeking to awaken your I am. Man, this has been the longest Motivational Monday in Motivational Monday history. 1 hour and 6 minutes. Thank y'all for chiming into this conversation. Thank y'all for hanging in there with your boy. And please, as you listen to this over and over again, begin to jot down those new thoughts. Get in the chat box and say, man, like, I don't know what you want to say. Like, I don't know. Begin to chronicle or begin to write down this journey. So when you get to the next phase of life, that's why I love doing these Motivational Mondays. All this is my form of journaling. This is my journey to the top. This is my journey to everything that God has already given me. Man, y'all have been phenomenal. If you have not, please go subscribe to my YouTube page at Williams Inspires on YouTube, Facebook, Williams Inspires as well, Twitter, Waging War 32. And until next time, I am challenging you to wage war on mediocrity. Your boy is out.
It ain't no friend to me. Waging war, waging war, waging war, waging war against mediocrity. It ain't no friend to me.